Welcome back tonight. Now, earlier, both Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump talked about the rise of ISIS at the Commander-in-Chief Forum. Let's take a look.
Part of the problem that we've had is we go in, we defeat somebody, and then we don't know what we're doing after that. I always said, take the oil. One of the benefits we would have had if we took the oil is ISIS would not have been able to take oil and use that oil to fuel themselves. If I win, I don't want to broadcast to the enemy exactly what my plan is.
We have to defeat ISIS. That is my highest counterterrorism goal. And we've got to do it with air power. We've got to do it with much more support for the Arabs and the Kurds. We are not putting ground troops into Iraq ever again, and we're not putting ground troops into Syria.
Here with reaction, author of Defeating Jihad, The Winnable War, Dr. Sebastian Gorka, as well as the author of The Field of Fight, How We Can Win the Global War Against Radical Islam and Its Allies, retired Lieutenant General Michael Flynn. General Flynn, I think it's wise not to give details. You don't telegraph what you're going to do, especially if you're fighting an enemy like ISIS. Obama and Hillary, they told the world, well, we're pulling out on this date. Good, we'll wait it out.
And we have this many troops going in. Sean, we have got to stop being what I describe as the best enemies in the world. We continuously telegraph every single move we are going to make, whether we're going to take troops out or whether we're going to put troops in. I mean, we have to stop doing that.
Were you at all offended? Because the liberal media, this is where they're going with this. They're going to ignore the fact that she made a mistake that resulted in 5,000 plus dead Americans and many others injured. But
I was stunned
when he talked about the generals, my interpretation was, and tell me if I'm wrong, is that the generals have not been given the ability to do their job, and the only generals that stuck around were the people that would say yes.
Yeah,
is that true, or is that fair? Is that inaccurate?
I will tell you, Donald Trump has enormous respect for our military. He has enormous respect for the leaders that we have in our military that are serving today. What he knows is that the decisions that have been made, the incredibly poor judgment on decisions to pull out of Iraq that led to the rise of ISIS. I mean, we really haven't talked about Libya. The decision to go into Libya can be solely placed on Hillary Clinton. And Libya is a disaster. It's a non-nation state now. So and ISIS and Al Qaeda are running around.
Libya is deeper than that. I was just talking about that. I mean, 600 specific requests denied before it happened.
Right.
Literally while we're watching in real time.
She said something tonight, John. I'm sorry. She said something tonight that no one died in Libya. 4 Americans died in Libya, to include tonight. She said.
General, with all due respect, at this point, what difference does it make?
Well,
I'm quoting her.
Yes, I know you are, but this is about judgment, and what we saw tonight and what we've seen in the last couple of years, I mean, the last decade, is just the incredibly poor judgment. And I like to hear people talk about winning and how we are going to win.
Dr. Gorka, that brings up a great point here, because she's saying we were wrong in Iraq. Oh, sorry about all you people that died and all you people that lost your legs and limbs and bled on the battlefield to win Mosul, Ramadi, Fallujah, Tikrit, and Baghdad. Sorry, oops, mistake. Then they pull out. Then they create the vacuum for ISIS, but it's bigger than that. Then you got an Iranian deal, as we have discussed, that gives the mullahs, the #1 state sponsor of terror, all this money to spin their centrifuges and build nuclear weapons. Then you've got, of course, Libya, which the general is talking about. You know, at what point does she have to bear responsibility for all of these decisions being so destructive and so wrong?
Sean, don't hold your breath on that one. It's not going to happen. This is the Teflon Don of national security. She's never going to take responsibility for the disastrous Iraqi policy, the Libya policy, the Syria policy. The general is absolutely right. It is a failure to have judgment. They're not interested in national security, Sean. They're interested in politics. Again, what are they doing? They're telegraphing our moves.
What about when Trump said generals have been fired, reduced to rubble? In other words, how was your interpretation of that? Because mine is very different than what I'm hearing on other networks.
Look, the general knows better than anybody else, but as somebody who works very closely with the military, in the last 7.5 years, the General Officer Corps, the Flag Corps, has become very politicized. If you don't agree with the White House, you could find yourself in the kind of place that General Petraeus. Yes,
General,
absolutely.
I think I know one right here. Didn't that happen to you?
I mean, yeah. I mean, let's be
Wait, this is an
very
important
honest.
Story. You were a contrarian.
Yeah, very much so.
And what happened?
I mean, to me, I'm sitting here. I'm sitting here today. So
I'm stuck with you,
yeah,
Hannity.
I'm stuck with you, Hannity.
Obviously,
that's right.
my life has sunk to a new level.
But this is very serious. This is very serious because what Dr. Gorka is talking about, and I know inside of our military there is great frustration. There is. I mean, you don't, and the polls of how many of our military support Donald Trump is not a mistake. I mean, this is a big deal.
Here's a tough question because you're on the inside. Yeah. Is it true that our generals know that there's no hope of getting through to Obama and he's going to do what he damn well pleases anyway?
No, nothing's going to change. Nothing will change.
And they know that. The generals
they know that. I mean, they know that. And nothing's going to change. You know, here's what I would tell you, and I would tell the American public. There is no enemy that is unbeatable. I mean, we know how to beat these guys. We can beat these guys. And there's no ideology better than the American ideology, the American, idea, our way of life.
I want to pick that up when we get back because I think we've got to rethink. I know Donald Trump laid out a 10-point plan today.
Yep.
Don't we have to rethink how we approach war?
Yeah.
We can't send kids in Humvees that are not even up armored. Yeah. Going door to door when we should be building the technology, the new advanced method of warfare. And I think that's missing.